Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the show. This evening, I have Ms.Annette Goodman, and she's a career consultant, and she'll be telling us exactly some important, valuable information dealing with our careers. How you doing there, Ms. Goodman?
I'm good. How are you today?
Great, great. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Tell us a little bit about yourself first.
Well, again, my name's Annette Goodman. I have been in the Charlotte area for 21 years. I've spent most of my adult life here. I teach at a couple of universities. I'm an independent contractor for a government contract, and I'm starting up my own business as a career consultant. And I think I just have a passion of helping people understand the difference between a job and a career and how to go about doing that.
First of all, what is the difference between a job and a career?
Well, a job is exactly what it is. You're going to go from job to job to job to job to job. You know, if you don't some kind of way, sit down and figure out what is the gift that I've been given. What is my passion? What do I like to do? And I believe once you know what your passion is, some people know it right off, and some people it's a process. One of the things about baby boomers who have been on their jobs for many, many years, we are the fastest growing population, and a lot of us can't retire. So they've had one career, and some of them may choose to do a 180-degree turn and do another career. But a career is a lifelong process. It's a skill that you have that you're good at, and most of all, you enjoy doing. So that's the difference between a job. A lot of times when I speak to students or clients, I need a job, and it just bothers me. But sometimes you do need a job to get to the process of getting to the career, but that's the difference.
Okay, for those with higher education, how do you fill out a master's application?
Well, one of the things I teach at the universities that I teach at, I teach critical thinking and I teach career management. When I talk about a portfolio, that is one of the things that goes in it, a master application. And people would be surprised how many times the person looking at your application puts it right in the trash because you did not follow the directions. So every time I teach career management, I do a 3-minute test and I tell you to follow the directions. And the first 2 lines says, read everything before doing anything. And then the second line says, now put your name in the top right-hand corner. And so when I give this 3-minute test, everybody's doing all the questions, and then I say stop. And then I'll have somebody read the first question and the second question. The importance of a master application is this. Whether you're seeking employment online, if you're at a job fair, a lot of times when you're at a job fair, they'll say, please fill this out. Correct. And so you pull out your master application, and you're able to transfer information. But what I do with the master application, I go through each line thoroughly, because if the application is not neat and complete, they don't have to look at it anymore. And there are certain things that you should be aware of. When it says, a lot of people do this. They put their name and then they put the address, but they leave the city and state out. That is not filling out the application correctly. They don't have to look at it anymore. Don't assume just because you're in Charlotte, North Carolina, that you're from Charlotte, North Carolina. One other piece of the master application is the educational piece. Some people went to college a couple of years. Some people may have a high school diploma. Some people may have a GED, and there's a certain way that you need to put that educational piece in there. And once you fill out the application correct, you never have to do anything again except add the new things to it. Because if you get the right address, phone number, zip code, then you always have that information. So if you're at the library looking for employment, you pull out your master application, You found something you're interested in, you have to fill out an application, and then you just transfer information. Back in the day, because things are changing with the social media, people used to watch how long it would take you to fill out an application. And places like Target, Walmart, Wally World, Lowe's, they have you fill out a kiosk. And a lot of times the line is long because the person filling out the application is like, I think I worked there. No, and then they erase it.
Correct.
Right. So that's why I feel the master application is one of the most important pieces within your portfolio.
But how about the individuals who have problems filling out applications to begin with? How do they go about getting this type of help to, to make it complete? Because sometimes we're not that knowledgeable on, just like you said, on completing the application.
Yeah. In my former position, I was a career counselor. I'm certified as a global career development facilitator, and I taught business ed in the Mecklenburg school system.
Okay.
So that's kind of how I found a love for this. There are certain nonprofit organizations around Charlotte, Goodwill Industries, Jacob's Ladder. I think they changed their name. I'm not sure. There is a place for ex-offenders, Mourn. There are several different nonprofits that do those things. They either assign a career counselor or they have a workshop on those matters of, what you need to do to brush up to go and seek competitive employment.
How important is it to have like your self-esteem, a high level of self-esteem when you're going out there to look for these employment?
Self-esteem is very, very important, and a lot of young folk, I don't know how to put it, it's half and half. Some they're focused, they know what they want, and some don't. Like at the university level, if you're majoring in whatever you're majoring in, and I say, why are you majoring in that? And you say, so you can go get a job. And I was like, no, you want to go and have a career. What does that degree mean? Is it going to be useful 10 to 15, 20 years from now? I think self-esteem is very, very important. And everybody has necessary days, as I so call them, where you're just not feeling good. But you can only stay there 3 days, and you got to get up and keep it moving. So I think you go through patches of self-esteem, but it's very important to have that, because you can meet a stranger on the street and do a 32-second commercial like you asked me, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Correct.
And that is important to know who you are, what you can do, and why you need to hire me.
Another issue that we need to talk about is your child care backup plan. Why do you think that's a big issue?
I'm going to pull out my fan.
Okay, go ahead and pull your fan out. I know it's getting kind of hot up in there.
Yeah.
The voices.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I worked with child care is important simply because once you obtain employment, the first 90 days of employment is crucial. So basically, once you're offered a job, if you've already had some vacation time in there that's in the future, you let them know. But if going back to the master application, when can you start? And some people say ASAP.
Correct.
Well, that's not a good thing to do, because if you start ASAP, what a miracle. Today is your lucky day. Well, let me show you where to go. But Friday, you forgot you have a doctor's appointment with the kid. So you're in your first 90 days of employment. So a backup plan is imperative the first 90 days of employment for most employers. It's just crucial. You just need to have that backup plan so that you can try to go to work for the first 90 days. I've seen people after 90 days not get the job. Some companies wait until the end to run the background check. Some people do it up front. Within that 90 days, they're watching you, both personally and professionally, to see if you're a good fit. So if you have to take off a lot of time and you don't have a backup plan for your kids, it's gonna be a red flag for the employer that hired you.
Okay, I mean, but isn't that a situation where you really excited about that employer? I mean, after going through all these different, no, we're not going to hire you, and then this individual says, yes. You're not really looking at the child care situation that you're possibly going to have. You're just thinking, hey, I got a job now. So really, I mean, I know what you're saying, that we should look at that before we even
And that's one of the things that I cover, especially on the master application, just in career seeking, career planning, because you're excited, you know. If you're not working and you're seeking employment, I suggest to people on the master application, you're able to start 1 week after the job offer's on the table. If you are working and you're seeking employment, I have a little debate right there. Do you say, yes, you can contact my current employer? Most people say, yes, you can. And then I said, well, let me put this scenario to you. You're working full time, you want to leave, you put yes on the application, so they call your current employer. They don't know you're looking.
Correct.
So I always say, no, you cannot contact my current employer, but you can contact the others. And then you can contact them after you get the job. But when I talk about this, I want them to see that emergencies come up. And, you know, if you got more than one child, sometimes one gets sick. You just need to have that backup plan, because it's very, very competitive out there, extremely competitive. And every little thing counts. That's why it's so important to have a child care backup plan for those people who do have children.
I know this may be a really strange question, but should I be honest when filling out my application? Because there's some things that may be in my past that may not get me the job.
I've worked with the ex-offender population as well, and as I state to everybody, September 11 changed everything. It changed everything. You have some people who had a felony who were on their jobs 15 or 16 years, and they got laid off, and now they're having difficulty finding a job. So because of September 11th, I feel that honesty is the best policy. And so in addition to people with a criminal background, you have a couple of different things in your portfolio than the other people. You have basically the same thing, and you have to go with what your gut says, because based on how the question is asked, a lot of times you can say no. And then they run it, and then they come back to you, all because of September 11th. So my key is, yes, state what the charge is, misdemeanor or felony, and say, see letter attached, explaining your charge, and not being in any more trouble since then. The volunteer work that you've given back, you know, will be included in that letter. But people can get hired with a criminal background. It's just a little tougher.
Correct.
Than what it was before. Also, certain companies get a tax write-off for hiring ex-offenders. They get to do a tax write-off, I think, for 3 years. So that's a plus. And then also, small businesses can now get that tax write-off too for hiring someone. And basically, you got to believe and you got to know that I deserve a second chance too. And so that's why